We are entering a new age of sneaky business. How can I move my goods from country to country and work my way into the US through a place that doesn't have as many tariffs? There's so many ways now. People are going to start looking for like the workaround. How do I hack the tariff system?
I think a lot of companies that import goods to the United States are evading import duties on massive scales. eBay in particular, you'll see a listing where it says must be paid by PayPal friends and family. Well, they don't want to incur a service charge for the transaction. These are all issues that I think are going to be under much tighter scrutiny. Most people believe that 154% tariff is not going to exist in a year's time. So instead of bringing products directly into the United States, take them to Mexico or Canada and put them in a bonded warehouse. You don't pay the import duty until it leaves that warehouse and comes to the United States.
They need the duty-free bag that you get at the duty-free store.
If you're pitting eBay against other resale marketplaces, every experience that you have with eBay, especially when they're trying to position themselves as like a global luxury secondhand marketplace authentication service, every single experience has to be an awesome one. And that I think is really hard to live up to, especially when you have sellers that are going to be employing a lot of dark patterns to try to evade duties because you have no control over those sellers and you have no control over the customer experience.
We're talking about this right now as a result of eBay paying celebrities to talk about their brand.
They didn't just seize an opportunity this year and the past month. They've been laying some groundwork for a little while.
Phillip, did you hear that Warren Buffett is calling it quits?
Warren Buffett. How is the market reacts to this, and how is a 94-year-old man's retirement not priced in? That's the question. That's the question I have. I love that. Do you have the thing that I think he's most famous for, besides being prolific in his investments?
That fire McDonald's picture.
That man eats McDonald's every morning. Everybody knows it, right?
Okay, here's my question though. You run to 94, right? And you're finally like, man, I need to retire. Like you get all the way to 94 and you're like, I've got maybe 6, if I'm lucky, like, well, at least 1 year.
Yeah, he's
left.
been lucky so far. He's got tight. Yeah. And what is
now I deserve a break.
Yeah, you deserve a break. That sounds like a different slogan. He's going to have it his way. I would love to see what a Warren Buffett, he's switching teams, like he's a free agent now. Yeah, he's a free agent now. He's switching to Burger King. Warren Buffett switching to Burger King after this.
Finally, I retired. I can have a Whopper.
Do you have a morning routine like that? Do you have like a daily morning routine that's like a Warren Buffett-esque routine?
I wish I did. I think I have coffee every morning. That's what everybody does though. And I for a while I was making it by grinding beans and like putting boiling water into a French press. But that ended when I broke actually I didn't break it, but my family, not naming names, broke
somebody in your family. Kind of like how somebody in my family right now, if you're watching on the YouTube, somebody in my family put a random bag in my room and it's just sitting here in the background of my shot. So I'm moving it. Welcome to TV. This is video first podcasting now. And you could have seen that if you were subscribed to our YouTube.
In which Phillip sneaks a butt shot onto our YouTube feed.
There you go. You got these gams. These gams and these hams on our YouTube, Future Commerce Media on YouTube. It's the only thing we don't have Future Commerce, our actual like trademark YouTube handle. We got to get that.
We do. It's true.
I don't think I have a morning routine like that. I mean, I do have a morning routine. I go to Starbucks every single morning. I have but I don't. I get tired a little bit of the same thing.
Starbucks is the new McDonald's, actually. So you basically have Warren Buffett's routine. Like you're the millennial
I'm
version.
Basically Warren Buffett is what I'm hearing you say. I'm basically Warren Buffett. Put me in. I'm Warren Buffett. Today on the podcast, we are going to cover a lot of stuff. Probably not the the Oracle of Omaha as much, but we will talk a little bit about Waymo's 56 million mile middle finger to human drivers.
It's true. It's real. It's real.
Most robot drivers are better than Brian Lang, is what we're learning. And Philip Jackson too. They're better. They're better than all humans combined, it turns out. We're going to talk a little bit about some new research and some stuff coming out there on the Waymo side. We're going to discuss the looks at the Met Gala and how that might be the new austerity and tariff-led environment ? Is this eBay's big moment? Who are you wearing?
The comeback,
eBay.
Baby.
Don't call it a comeback. eBay's coming on strong, and then we are going to dive in a little bit to I guess Kendra Scott is making a comeback as well as Labubu's. I think that this might be the weirdest docket that we've had on the podcast in a long time. And I think it might be because commerce news is a little strange lately because there's so much uncertainty.
Tariffs.
It really is.
Flexibility. Yeah. I mean, that's all that anyone wants to talk about. I've been doing these salon dinners now since tariffs took place, and it's just been all tariff talk.
One way to unplug from the matrix, though, is with our newest book, Lore. This is our journal from Future Commerce, and this is so beautiful. If you're taking a look on the feed, so cool to see folks sharing this too. I love some friends of ours that have been sharing this out on the feed, getting lots of beautiful pictures. We've also got an incredible product detail page now with more pictures than ever of the book. It's 280 pages and 14 contributors this year on a 3-pound heavy art book. It's called Lore from Future Commerce, and it's asking you the bold question: do you write the story, or is it already written? The story of commerce, right? This is one that I think every brand thinks that they're in control of. Every customer thinks that they're in control of. Maybe there's a shared story between a customer and a brand, or maybe it's something even more mythological, ? 4 chapters, 14 installments and parts in those chapters. Brian and I put a ton of work in every year on this. It's our 3rd edition of our annual journal. We're already hard at work on our 4th, but we have a lot of print over at Future Commerce. So go check it out, shop.futurecommerce.com, where you can get Lore and every other piece of print that we do. And you can save a little bit of money if you're a member of Future Commerce Plus, which is our membership, where you get exclusive access to events, discounts on merch and print, and so much more, including an invite to those salons that Brian talks about, where you learn about much more than tariffs. Right, Brian?
Oh, yes.
But yeah,
that's the
pick up Lore, $75. Or save a little bit with your Future Commerce Plus membership.
I got a quick interjection. Here it is. Speaking of the Matrix, storied brands, and a little bit of lore, did you know in Enumclaw, Washington, that there is a working U.S. West phone booth?
Phone booth?
A working U.S. West phone booth. I'm not sure.
Did you go use this phone booth?
I haven't, but it is very clearly working. It is in good shape. It is pristine.
It's so funny that you bring this up. I was just in. I was on my way to Philadelphia. I was in the Trenton, New Jersey Transit, like Trenton train station. And I took this picture. See if I can get this to show up on the YouTube. There's an entire array of phone booths. Phones that are working.
Yes.
These are working. I picked it up. Got a dial tone.
Yes, dial tone. Do you put quarters in? You swipe a card.
These are quarters. Takes 50 cents, which I think beats inflation, to be honest with you. Because it used to be a quarter in like 1989.
Let me tell you, if millennials,
the cost of a local call has only doubled since 1989.
Oh yeah, I mean, you should have invested in phones. Wait, hold on, the opposite.
You should not have invested in payphones.
Payphones, yeah, shorted payphones. The thing is, if with the amount of phone calls that millennials actually make, they should just use payphones that would save them money versus their cell phone bill. Millennials don't like to talk on the phone.
This is a this is a growing trend. Millennials don't like to talk on the phone synchronously.
Synchronously,
But
that's right.
I
Voice
saw
notes.
a recent voice notes are on the rise. I saw a chart recently, voice note usage, which we'll have to drop in into the YouTube. We'll flash it on the screen. But voice note usage by generation, it's a real thing. Voice note usage by generation is millennials 63% and Gen Z's really loving it. 84% of Gen Z loving voice notes as well.
It's crazy.
That's a thing.
I think this has to do with like the rise in like people being content creators. Like a voice note is actually content. It's like one-to-one content.
That's a really interesting insight. It's a form of content.
Yeah. It's not really a conversation. It's like content to be consumed and responded to. It's participatory content.
There was this article in The Guardian that I think supports your theory here that says, to my horror, Gen Z is turning to voice notes. I don't want to hear your mini podcast.
Exactly. Exactly. This is the funniest thing though, because actually boomers did the same thing when they played phone tag. They just leave voicemails on each other's machine. Do you remember this? Your parents would play phone tag with somebody and it would be like voicemail to voicemail.
There would be a really long voicemail. So I'd leave really long voicemails.
Oh,
and
man.
there would be no way to like undo it on those like old tape cassette ones. Like you would mess up and be like, oh wow. Yeah. Well, anyway, call me back.
Exactly. You'd get run out of tape sometimes, like right in the middle of your voicemail, and you'd be like,
"There's something really interesting about how nothing's really new. We just keep reinventing new ways to do the old things."
No, it's so funny. People are opting to skip the phone call to jump straight to the voicemail. So imagine if in the past there was a way to press a number on your phone when you called somebody and just skip ringing them.
Oh, you don't know about this?
Oh, could you do that?
This was the ultimate hack. Oh, yes. Oh, this was a thing. You didn't know about this.
No.
This was the thing. I'm about to out myself. I'm going to out myself. I'm going to out myself big time. There's going to be a ton of people who are like, Phillip is the worst human being on planet Earth.
Oh, man.
I don't know if it works now, but it definitely worked in the early aughts, and I used it a whole lot. If you dialed someone's number, and it only worked on cell phones, if you dialed someone's number and you dialed their region code, like one, whatever,
right.
Like 1917, and then, but you dialed one twice, 11917, and then their number, it bypassed calling them and went straight to voicemail.
That's the best hack of all time back then, at least, because you could be like,
this was a thing.
I guess I missed you. Yeah, totally.
I used this so much. You have no idea.
Of all time. I
used it all the time.
Can't use that anymore. There's no excuse.
No. Well, especially since I'm on some LLM having said it now, I'm sure. It's Phillip at some point used this in the early aughts, and I'm sure this is now in a deposition. It's gonna be great. But this was an ultimate hack. I'm sure very few people knew about this, which is why I got away with it for so very long. But yeah, you could return someone's call without actually having to call them by 11, and then I lived in Tampa, so it was 813. Did it a lot. Also had a New Jersey cell phone. I had like a business phone. I had a New Jersey cell phone. And that, my friends, is what it was like to be an elder millennial. So voice note usage on the rise. I also think that one of the markers here too on the, sort of like, I sort of always bring it back to like there's like a generational marketing impact here, is that you always go back around to I think people tend to look at youth trends and youth marketing and youth oriented trends as some sort of like future, it's some signal of future adoption or future signal of what a new consumer desire will be, so that a brand can future proof itself. We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
We have a Roblox tracker on the Future Commerce website, and we say, well, spatial commerce and video game aesthetics and things that happen in Gen Alpha and Gen Z gaming in particular, and spatial gaming environments. These are things that will guide user experience in the future because their preferences are being shaped right now. But I recently just saw a study that came out that said this may no longer actually be the case, because youth trends are no longer actually youth trends. Most trends are actually just internet trends.
Right.
They're not actually youth-oriented trends at all anymore. In fact, this can be evidenced by the fact that we have so many like Disney adults, and you have so many
kids and adults are like trending on the same thing. It's actually about
That's correct.
graphic and like parent. I don't know. I think there's some truth to that. I do definitely see this having an effect on my kids who are not very online. They're not plugged in, and even they're affected by internet culture. And so it actually is sort of youth culture at some level. Like, even if the kids aren't directly connected to it, they can't escape Skibbity. Like, Skibbity is there, Skibbity is present. It doesn't matter, even though that was an online youth trend, or Roblox, or the language that's coming out of these things. Like, it's kind of terrifying, actually, that youth culture is mixing with adults on the internet, because I feel like there's like some weird two-way street where it's like adults are infiltrating kid culture, which is terrible.
Yeah.
And kids are infiltrating adult culture, which is also terrible. Like, I think we used to have our own spaces. Like, give me back my adult space and stop acting like a child.
So this is an interesting thing, and I think it comes into a sort of really culturally relevant moment that we just had. Katy Perry went to space.
Or did she?
Katy Perry almost went to space. She would like to have gone to space. And in the time that she went to space, she's also, when she returned to Earth, is now the Nickelback of our generation. In her 8-minute journey, she became the punchline of every joke.
She was a firework, baby.
For whatever reason, like culturally, we have decided that Katy Perry should no longer exist. And we all decided it all at one time. And I think that that's a really interesting thing that happens. It kind of comes back down to, I think it's covered a little bit in The Sovereign Individual, about like, we accept social constructs like celebrity.
Yes.
And we accept things like Skibbity and Skibbity Toilet, or the Logan Pauls of the world, or whatever. We accept them as being celebrity and having power, and we allow them to have power. We just like bestow it upon them. We allow them to believe they have power. We give them power in society, and we allow that to happen. They don't really have it. They don't actually have the power. They don't have any real power. Skibbity has no real power.
Thank heavens.
They don't really, like Skibbity Toilet has no real influence on culture. You can tell this, I know this to be true, because if you go to a local GameStop, which also has increasingly less relevance, but if you go to a local GameStop, there is merch and products and toys that are produced by Skibbity Toilet. That's like branded merchandise. That's like a toilet with a head that pops out of it. And it's on the clearance table for $1, and nobody wants it. Like, literally nobody wants it. They want to participate in something that they believe is like like mass knowledge. That's part of a, you know, group vernacular. Like it's all part of a thing that we all are aware of. Like we all know that Katy Perry exists, but we'd much rather participate in the fact that Katy Perry is silly and that we don't like her now than we would like to participate in the fact that she is an actual celebrity with influence.
There's actually an article about A24 in Dirt, 5,000 words. Incredible piece. Kind of backing up what you've been talking about for a while, Philip, which is that A24 is sort of dead. In that,
that I'm tired of A24.
You're tired of A24.
Yeah,
they've become just a normal like production studio. Like they've got their hits and their misses, although they really do have a very distinct aesthetic, and they like have done a very good job of curating that. There was a line in the article which I thought was incredible. It was, we get what we're given, and we have to make do. Eventually, what we're given begins to seem pretty good. And
like Katy Perry.
Like Katy Perry, I think that people kind of accept what is being talked about because they want to be involved in what's being talked about. And so they will participate, and eventually when they start to talk about something for long enough, they're like, oh, I guess this is good. Like they absorb it, they make it part of their being. In fact, and so I would actually say that Katy Perry does exist still, was very powerful to certain
unlike
people.
Avril Lavigne, who I would say does not actually exist.
Yes.
This is a woman named Melissa. But yes, I digress.
And I think that that while we want Katy Perry to not exist at this moment, there's a whole set of people out there who are very sad about this and feel like they've lost something as a result of this, and feel like they have to participate in making Katy Perry disappear if they want to have any sort of like brain. Like
I want her to disappear for the sake of my brain too. No, at 21 minutes, our advertisers are like, "What does this have to do with commerce?" I tell you everything.
Everything.
This is where you get that fun little ad music that we typically have. Boom, boom, boom. Hey everybody, we are getting ready to begin production on our 400th episode of the Future Commerce Podcast, and that is 9 years worth of podcasts. That is a really long time, and we wouldn't have been able to make that possible if it wasn't for you being with us this whole time. And so I thought it would be really cool if you joined us for that journey, because you've been here the whole time. I'd love for your voice to be on that episode. So why don't you drop us a voice note? Send it to us at hello@futurecommerce.com and tell us what has made this last 9 years so special, what you love about the show, memorable moments, maybe things that have like made it special or infuriating, or things that are funny, or things that you found really insightful, things that maybe you saw at shows, live moments at Visions, parts of our books, maybe lore or Art Basel events, something that you remember that's memorable, that you won't forget. Drop it in a voice note and we'll play it back in a couple weeks' time when we air it in our special 400th episode. Maybe you like old-fashioned voicemails. I like an old-fashioned voicemail. You can do that by calling 561-221-2176. It's right there in the description below. Love to hear from you and can't wait for episode 400. And thank you so much for 9 amazing years. Anyway, back to the episode. What does it have to do with commerce? Well, it probably has something to do with sort of the shift over culturally from, modernism to postmodernism, sincerity to ironic insincerity. And these are like cultural attitudes that I think are really important. It's important to advertising. It's important to like cultural awareness, cultural intelligence as a brand. It's important to how you set up marketing messages and campaigns. Just understanding the society in which you live and like the cultural moment in which you take place, I think is taken for granted a lot. And what you can fake your way into a lot is just copying what other people do, right? You just copy what other people do, and that can work to some degree. But I think that the folks that do it best are the ones who understand how to do it on purpose, and they understand their core audience. In fact, we have this Decoded series coming up, Brian, with our friends from Optimove. And there's this book called Converted by Neil Hoyne. And I'm really like this is like a spiritual twin. Neil Hoyne's saying the same thing that we've been saying for many years, although is a true professional.
Did he write a poem about it though?
No, he did not. He did not write a poem or an art book about it. He's coming at it from the lens of what a data scientist might have insights from a data scientist, but without having to be writing content like specifically for data scientists as the audience. I think it's written for marketers. Yeah. And I think he made it palatable and really, really, honestly, very, not just insightful, but almost influential to make people start to question like, oh yeah, I need to start thinking about things differently. So anyways, tune into Decoded, but getting back to this idea of like the shift between, like when did these things shift so dramatically culturally? Well, there was this, according to one X post this week, you could probably put the pinpoint 25 years ago, on May 5th of 2000 was the like finale, the actual series finale of Boy Meets World. And that apparently was, for one person and one particular critic is that is the last of the like sitcoms where it was extraordinarily sincere. It was a 30-minute episodic TV show where every week you learned a lesson, right? There was an encoded shared moral framework where everybody in America all had a shared moral framework, and we all learned the same thing and the same lesson every week. And everything thereafter, and it was probably very gradual. There was a lot of things happening. Seinfeld was definitely on the television at that same time, right? Friends was on television at the same time. It was already in shift, but
Friends almost had some of those sincere moments actually on sort of, I mean, it was silly, but it had more sincerity than Seinfeld did, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. But I think that you can see postmodern, like ironic insincerity in a lot of that sort of sitcom media as it's making the transition. Yeah. Boy Meets World is almost entirely sincere, which would never happen today because sincerity is cringe. Right. So it's really anachronistic. You look at something like this and you're like, wow, that's, it's almost like watching Leave It to Beaver now. Like if you watch it, watch like an old 50s television show and you're like, wow, this is like really
so
cringe.
So preachy.
Mm-hmm. But you look at something with a little bit of age like that on it, 25 years ago, and you see that like that is actually a really clear dividing line to say.
I wonder when that finished filming. Because if it aired on May 5th, I wonder if it all filmed in 1999. The moment we rolled the clock to 2000, that was it. The end of sincerity.
The Y2K. Yeah, the Y2K.
The Y2K bug was actually sincerity was over.
I kind of like that as the theory.
Yeah, it didn't end our microwaves and our computers. It ended all thought of sincerity that we had in our human collective mind.
You know what? Like unironically, somebody write that down because that's a killer piece to go into our new journal. That is a phenomenal piece. I could jam on that like Topanga as the like central figure of the last, sincere thought that anybody had. All right. Getting back to the docket that we are far away from.
Now we have Kendra Scott and youth culture.
but youth culture, it's funny because I do think that some things are cyclical and like directional youth culture, like Pottery Brand is a really good example. Pottery Barn, sorry. So Pottery Barn's a really good example of this. Pottery Barn is a wonderful example of the simultaneity of appealing somehow to multi-generational marketing all at the same time, where Pottery Barn is doing a collection with Kendra Scott. Why? Well, some people would say Pottery Barn skews boomer. Kendra Scott skews, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Kendra Scott. Boomer. Yeah, Kendra Scott skews millennial. But I think you would be really surprised to know that actually Kendra Scott has got a like almost literal chokehold on the Gen Alpha like middle schoolers. Like there's one necklace in particular that is on every single middle schooler's neck right now. It is
Do you
it's a
think it's
wild thing to
ironic or
see.
unironic? Like, is Kendra Scott and Pottery are they actually vestiges of sincerity reborn? Like, it's this is not an ironic collaboration. This isn't.
No,
This
this
is
is not ironic. No, this is
yeah.
sincere. They
This
this
is
really,
extremely sincere.
yeah, this is, and I think that it might be uh it's an interesting thing to watch because you do see these brands sort of playing together. They are, Pottery Barn is, I mean, for many people, they would say this, it's verging on, it is a certain sort of a market segment that's most people would not buy. It's not
Right.
RH, right? But it's not affordable. Like this is not the IKEA purchaser. But I would say that Kendra
Right.
Scott, because Kendra Scott is in Target, is an IKEA purchaser. Like there is
It's like one step up.
I think that there's a generational pool, and this is what you look for in sort of the high low and sort of like the mix. When you're looking for a great collab, what makes a great collab is when you're trying to pull in multiple audiences in between
Have your
mixing.
cake and
Like,
eat it too.
yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't know that you've got like tweens who are going to go buy necessarily who want to go in search of Pottery Barn, but I do think that older millennial moms who are looking to buy something for their middle schooler,
Totally.
turning high schooler, might reach for it because they know that their daughter loves Kendra Scott. And
Mm.
that is a really interesting.
Yeah, it's like a millennial moment for elder millennial moms where it's like, I can afford Pottery Barn now. I want my daughter, like this is something my daughter and I have bonded over, the Kendra Scott necklace. Like
Yeah.
I used to wear Kendra Scott when I was younger, and my daughter loves it now too. Like that's actually pretty smart. It is interesting. I do think this is very easy to make fun of because it is so sincere, if that makes sense. But it's commercialized sincerity, and so it's like very like the storyline is extremely sincere, and it probably has had a profound impact on people's families, whether they know it or not. Like Pottery Barn has graced many households, like family homes, and Kendra Scott, this is I think this is something that will get made fun of at some point, or probably already has.
Probably already has. If you look at sort of the like high, medium, low, you have Kendra Scott in Target, which I think is like very low and sort of accessible. And that sort of can be an entry level into the brand for a lot of people. But you still are looking at like a version of a necklace that can be had for $50 to $70, right? So it's still like an entry level, but it's still quite a high price point. You're going to walk away with a Kendra Scott piece, maybe earrings for $12 to $15. But what everybody really wants is, some opaline necklace that's, $75. So you're looking for a specific piece, and you might walk away with a consolation prize, but they're going to get you eventually for the thing that you really, really want, which means that like for a lifetime value of a customer, you're growing that lifetime value for a customer with a lot of these halo purchases that eventually land you on the real thing that you want. So you have the long-term evergreen shop and shop thing, which like Target does really, really well. And then maybe the eventual end state is this very high-end thing, is Pottery Barn teen, where that's a one-time purchase. Like if it ever happens, It's a one-time purchase. And it's to be honest with you, it's like, it's kind of a one-time capsule. I don't see this is not going to be like, this isn't,
totally. Yeah. This is not going to be like a continued.
Right. This isn't like a celebrity, long-term endorsement. So, if you're, it is really looking like it's also prepping for back to school and sort of dorm type fashion, decor type stuff. So, yeah, it's the time, it's sort of like a timed activation as well. So just looking at that, you're looking at these two extremes of high-low as the way that they're activating. What's in the middle? Kendra Scott's retail. And that is, I think, really why this, to me, is such an interesting, you've got diffusion line on one side and premium licensing on the others. And the only thing in the middle is their retail, which really, I think a lot of that retail footprint centers on customization in store. Like, get people into the store and try to get people to customize pieces in store, not just buy the thing that's off the rack or buy the same thing that everybody else has. So like, can we get you to customize something that nobody else has so we can get you out of the $75 AOV, get you into a
Totally.
$200 piece or more? That to me is that's just brand equity grow. Like, can we grow brand equity over time? Can we avoid channel conflict over time? It seems like a really brilliant strategy. It's wild to me though, that like it can begin much younger, but it can stretch too much older as well. So I don't know. Kendra Scott being just it seems like a very flexible brand. They're doing a lot of really interesting things right now.
And congrats to Brad, friend of the show, Brad Powers over at Kendra Scott and his team. And they've done a really nice job. They've grown equity so well. It's sort of the absolute opposite of this. It's interesting. It's touching one of the most sincere subjects, but they're just killing it. I wanted to give them a shout out on the show. The team over at Titan Casket. I know we've talked a ton about Titan Casket, but recently I think they've really started to enter the cultural zeitgeist with their mascot Mort, but their show has been absolutely on fire. It's called Grave Conversations. In fact, I remembered it before I even looked up. Yeah, Grave Conversations has been absolutely killing it. I've seen memes being passed around.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is taking one of the most sincere subjects and making it super fun and ironic and interesting, and that is unbelievable. I'm always blown away by the Seagulls and Scott Ginsberg and that whole team over there.
Me too. Big fans of them, good friends. Great examples on both ends of brands that are just emergent, that are, in these new categories like death care, that are trying to figure out how to be culturally relevant on one side and using media to their advantage. And then other examples of like entrenched retailers that are trying to reinvent themselves doing the same thing, but on the other end. Should we get to some of the main story? Should we get into the eBay of it all?
The eBay of it all. You waited all this time. I know you've made it 30 plus minutes here to get to this story. eBay, big news of the day.
Talking about eBay. Cultural relevance.
Woo. Don't call it a comeback. They've been here for years and years and years, since the beginning of time, the internet time. eBay.
Are you a fan? I got to ask you. This is like a totally random question, Brian. I don't know if you watch much YouTube. Are you a fan of Dropout? Like the old college humor has become Dropout now.
Yeah.
No, you're not familiar.
I'm familiar.
Like okay. Sam Reich, who like hosts a number of the shows there. He's got this tagline. He's like, "I've been here the whole time." I feel like that's eBay. I feel like that's eBay these days. Because they sort of, this might be their moment. This is like
they're trying to make it their moment. They're making it their moment. That's for sure. With a campaign they're running with Vogue. Is that right? They worked their way in with Vogue. Producer Sarah was telling us how she watched the whole Met Gala live, and she and former Future Commerce colleague Abby Hopkins were playing a drinking game. Every time eBay was mentioned by a celebrity, they had to take a shot.
Were they? I didn't hear the drinking game part, but it might as well have been. I don't know. It's the eBay thing. I think you would have died. I think if you had done that. I actually looked this up in the pre-show. This is not even. This is not the first time, actually. So just looking into it, just looking back a little bit, the number of times that eBay was featured on screen, this goes back to 2023. eBay has been trying to work its way into this angle, but they started on the live stream in 2023. And in 2023, they had almost 37 minutes of on-screen time, which was almost 25% of the broadcast. I think
oh my gosh.
Yeah. The reason that nobody remembers that is because we didn't have a high tariff environment.
It was subliminal. It was subliminal. Now it's hitting. It's hitting on all the levels now. People are like, "Oh yeah, eBay. Oh, that's I could get stuff cheaper there. Like I don't have to worry about tariffs."
Correct. And if you were to look at, there's the amount of repurpose. So a lot of the Met Gala, for those who aren't initiated, a lot of the Met Gala looks are very custom and sort of like over the top pieces that are thematic, right? So if you're TikTok star KB Lame, you have a Hugo Boss suit, you're like, it's covered in vintage pocket watches. Or if you're like, if you're Andre 3000 at the Met Gala, you've got a giant, piano strapped to the back of your suit. Like, these are custom things, and like that's just two very like lame examples.
I don't know. I kind of like the Andre 3000 thing.
It's kind of cool. I was trying to think of a meme for that one. It was like, he has this piano sort of strapped to his back, and I was like, that's going to be a great meme. Yeah, so much of this is so much of this is custom, and so much of this is like made for that event, and not just like high-end fashion. Some of it's like sort of like outlandish and like statement pieces. So I can see why Costumes. eBay, would want to, especially like if you're going to go after vintage, eBay would want to be part of the cultural conversation. I think now, to your point, maybe this is where you can give us a little bit of your perspective, Brian. To your point, I think we might have to be buying things from eBay for a little while, based on the way that tariffs go, the way that trade shortages might be hitting. Hearing Ryan Peterson of Flexport talk about the way that Chinese ports are looking, we might have empty store shelves by June, July. Like we might be looking more at secondhand purchasing in the United States for a lot of things over.
Well, we have been for a while. Goods. In fact, it's actually just accelerating a trend we've already been on. Like, people prefer products with stories. People prefer products that are durable. People prefer products that will last. I mean, you're not buying something secondhand unless it's something that you feel like is going to stick around. There's also just it's better for the environment. There's so many stories associated with secondhand and vintage right now that perhaps the best thing people could do. I mean, we've leaned so hard into cheap goods for so long, that it's almost like there's a mimetic cycle on its way here, back towards stuff that's durable.
Yep.
And we have enough goods already in the country where it's like, actually, there are a lot of durable goods that are already here. We have enough durable goods to have even like trends within previously purchased durable goods. And this gets into something that I am actively writing about right now, about how time is changing things. Like time is shifting for us. And what is early? What is late? Like, these are handshake moments between each other. Like, we're in a whole new paradigm, and I don't want to give it away too much because it's going to be a really good article. Actually, this is probably the most excited I've been to write an article in a while.
I wonder if this actually explains something that I'm seeing right now on eBay, because I've been spending more time on eBay,
which is weird because I didn't know about their campaign at the Met Gala. I just made my
Well, it just
first
happened
eBay.
yesterday. So,
Well,
right.
yeah, I just made my first eBay purchase the last time we had an article, or last time we had a podcast. Like, eBay has now been on my radar for buying things, and I used eBay, which is weird.
Yeah, I proudly have been purchasing from eBay since like 1998. But
Well, yeah, I made
I
purchases
buy a
on
lot
eBay
from
in '98
I buy a lot. I buy a lot from eBay. But I'm buying more from eBay because I've been buying a lot of weirdly, vintage goods, especially as we've been doing some research on. There's that. No, it's not really fashion stuff so much. Like, I did some research for this upcoming, for next year's journal, for some time capsule stuff, like working on the time capsule talk. I bought a couple things for the time capsule talk, which is, something that I'll talk about at Visions this year. So if you're New York City, June 10th, you want to hear that talk, love to have you. Come please join us, and it'll be an incredible time. But, buying things on eBay is like the place to get it. Almost literally anything you can think of in this whole world is on eBay, and it's available to buy literally right now, which is incredible. But something I'm seeing right now is there are products where the value of the shipping exceeds the value of the product.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that before. And I have to believe that that is a way of avoiding duties and tariffs, or at least trying to lower the impact of duties and tariffs. So for instance, if you were to look at, like, let's say a vintage watch, if you were to look at like an old Omega Seamaster from the 1960s, it's going to pop up in eBay as $300, but the shipping is $300 too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
And
$600 watch.
Technically, you have to declare that on the customs form, right? Technically, you have to declare those two things as how much shipping cost and how much the product itself cost. But I have looked at the customs forms of things that I have bought. Like I bought an art book of this one of these time capsules that I've been researching. I bought this big art book, and it was not declared properly. And so I did a little bit of research, and these are all like classic things that I think is like running rampant on eBay. And I don't think it's just eBay. I think a lot of companies that import goods to the United States are evading import duties on massive scales. And so when you look at, like eBay in particular, you have sellers that are offshore that are kind of finding all kinds of ways to get products into the United States. You see this all the time where people send you, you'll see a listing where it says, must be paid by PayPal friends and family. Well, they don't want to incur a service charge for the transaction. Another one is they'll misclassify the goods by falsely describing the product category. They undervalue the item, which I mentioned already, or a false country of transit. Like all of these things, like kind of impact at the end of the day, the kind of issues that, I think it's not just sellers on eBay. I think a lot of companies, maybe whether they do it on purpose or they do it by accident, or they misclassify things, or they misstate them, or they fill out customs forms incorrectly. Like, these are all issues that every I think are going to be under much tighter scrutiny.
New age of like sneaky business. Like, how can I move my goods from country to country and like work my way into the U.S. through a place that doesn't have as many tariffs, and like, oh wait, like if I threw all those watches into a suitcase of a traveler who came to the U.S. and like, there's so many ways now people are going to start looking for like the workaround. It's how do I hack the tariff system? It's like SEO, black hat SEO for U.S. tariffs.
Do you listen to the Operators podcast at all?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, guys. I don't listen to you.
Yeah, there's in listening to Operators, and a couple others. I think this weekend, Startups, this past week, Jason Calacanis had Ryan Peterson of Flexport on there. Both those shows were talking about strategies to avoid.
That's the new like hacker. It's the new like
Yeah. But
business
they
hack.
would say this is
Lists of
like
tips
the
and tricks.
environment.
Tips and tricks.
The environment incentivizes you to find legal ways of managing your business costs. So, instead of directly importing products from China to the United States, most people believe that 154% tariff is not going to exist in a year's time.
Right.
So instead of bringing products directly into the United States, take them to the US or take them to Mexico or Canada and put them in a bonded warehouse.
Yep.
And in a bonded warehouse, you don't pay the import duty until it leaves that warehouse and comes to the United States. So whatever the duty is when it leaves that warehouse, just pull out small bits of inventory. And then whatever you're drawing out, whatever that duty is at that time,
Yep.
That's what the duty will be. And so, like, I think a lot of people are, this is like
the duty free bag.
This is
they need the duty free bag that you get at the duty free store.
Getting back to the Met Gala and eBay, I think the cultural moment here is they didn't just seize an opportunity this year in the past month. They've been laying some groundwork for a little while.
Well, and I think maybe, I mean, I would love to give the eBay team like that level of like foresight. That's really impressive. But I just think that they were probably trying to compete with the real and like show that eBay is a place to buy authenticated goods, which is something that this is why I ended up going there. You're like, yeah, actually eBay authentications is actually it's pretty good as long as you buy something that's got that badge on it. And I was like, like that's like a third of the cost of buying this item new, and it's authenticated and it's new on eBay. Why wouldn't I buy it on eBay? And I think that should be eBay's tagline. Why wouldn't you buy it on eBay? I think Sarah had a really good point though, which was like, what in the world? Like this was blowing her mind that eBay was at the Met Gala, and she's like, is big eBay? It's sitting there off cam with like a weapon, like like, come on, you got to say eBay 20 times, or you're not gonna, we're gonna come in here and take you away. But the truth is, I think the carrot and the stick are the same thing. They're both external motivators, and so that external motivation or motivator, it's producing conversation.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about this right now as a result of eBay paying celebrities to talk about their brand and force little things into some over the hill, moment from vestiges of the past. It's incredible. Actually, I think the Met Gala and eBay do have a lot in common in that they are a part of a prior era that is actually like coming back, to my earlier point, into literally vogue. There you go.
Oh, that's fun. I love that. I love that for you. That was great. On a final note, if you're pitting eBay against other resale marketplaces, eBay is very global. So I think this is where you start to get into some challenges, especially where, if this administration is not favorable to transparency around prices and duties around, products and like where they're sourced and like where they're being shipped from. So you start to run the risk of a lot of the products that you look for, especially in luxury goods, are coming from outside of the United States on a platform like eBay. I think that any secondhand authentication service, you start to look at other marketplaces like the Real, those are largely regional. So the Real is likely mostly, US based like consigners, like it's consignment in the US, and it's mostly an authentication service as a marketplace. Whereas eBay was mostly an auction site that tacked on an authentication service.
Right.
It's a very different prospect, and it's very global. And so this is where you'll have a challenge in the sort of buyer beware experience. Is like every experience that you have with eBay, especially when they're trying to position themselves as like a global luxury marketplace, secondhand marketplace authentication service, which is what I think you're trying to do when you're at the Met. I believe you're going to have every single experience has to be an awesome one. And that
Right.
I think is really hard to live up to right now, in particular, especially if you have sellers that are going to be employing a lot of dark patterns to try to evade duties, because you have no control over those sellers, and you have no control over the customer experience when they're going to try to get that product, and then they're going to have a bill.
Well, maybe that's how eBay wins, though, because they don't have to think about it. They're just a marketplace. I mean, this has always been marketplaces like strength. They don't have to deal with things that other like 1P type sellers have to deal with, which like true retail has to deal with. Like they're like, yeah, like that's up to our sellers to figure out.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting point about the regional thing. It seems like there's still more opportunity in the local markets for used good marketplaces to pop up, because there's a lot going on in Facebook Marketplace. In fact, I think just recently on an episode of Tasteland, someone was saying that like Facebook Marketplace is where they go to buy most of their stuff. And this is somebody who has good taste. It's like
I would buy anything from Facebook Marketplace if anyone ever responded. But every single message I've ever sent, yeah, I respond and it's like, oh, it's already gone, or they don't respond, or I do stuff. God, give me a break. I'm not going to live on Facebook.
You have to live on Facebook Marketplace if you want to get that stuff.
So stupid.
Well, no, but
do you know how many people? That's so dumb. Anyway, go ahead.
My point in saying this is that actually there's absolutely a market for doing like more local authentication. I think that there's a trend right now towards secondhand, and Facebook isn't even really making money on these purchases, and there's no way to authenticate it. It still feels like Craigslist, and like it. I actually think that there is a massive opportunity right now in exactly what you were saying. More localized authentication for things beyond just like clothes and luxury. Like that, there's all kinds of other things that need authentication.
Maybe they're having their fourth life. I would love for them to have their resurgence in the culture. I love that people are talking about them again. I think it's personally their experience of their app is very good. So more power to them. Okay. Can we talk about Waymo for a second?
Let's go.
Waymo just put out this report. Gotta love this thing. The Waymo report, I think it's chilling in like two dimensions. So for those who haven't really been following, Waymo is a Google owned and launched robotaxi company. Robotaxi being a word that I try to say with a straight face. You would call it a ride sharing service, except for you don't share the ride with anybody. They put out this study that basically paints them as being very, very safe. And it's a peer-reviewed study that will be published in a journal called Traffic Injury Prevention Journal. And it's looking at Waymo's performance in 11 different crash scenarios compared to human drivers, which I think, to be very clear, Waymo have been involved in accidents, right? So they have been involved in traffic accidents. But they have also traveled over 57 million miles in 4 different major markets. So Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Austin. And as of January, which is when the data from this particular study ended, they concluded that they aren't just a little bit safer than human drivers. They have a 92% drop in pedestrian injuries, an 82% decline in cyclist injuries, a 82% decrease in motorcyclist injuries, and this is pretty wild, 96% fewer vehicle-to-vehicle crashes at intersections compared to human drivers. That is unreal.
And just wait until drinkers start getting into Waymos, because this is going to skew even more crazy towards the robots. Like,
yeah,
it is wild. And I will say this: every single time I end up in a market that I can take a Waymo, I will take a Waymo. Absolutely.
Agree. I think that a Waymo is like a top tourist thing to do when you're in Los Angeles. Like you go to LA,
yeah,
and taking a Waymo is like a thing to do, just because you should try it. You should just try it because it's a fun thing to do while in LA.
I mean, not only is it a fun thing to do, but like it is a safer, better way, more luxury way to get around.
I think it is.
It is super
objectively
lux.
a better experience.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I tell this story now on this podcast at least once a quarter, but this is maybe my 3rd time telling it. But I'll never forget the first time that we ever took a Waymo, you and me.
Yeah.
And we're in the back of this Waymo. It's the middle of the night. I think we were leaving a salon in LA, and it had to negotiate a left turn against opposing traffic.
Oh no, it wasn't quite middle of the night. It was like dusk. It was dusk.
It was late, and it was nighttime, and it had to negotiate this left turn. And there was a food delivery robot crossing the crosswalk on the other side of the street at the same time. And I remember thinking, wow, we live in the future. And I also remember thinking, like, there's no way that this Waymo sees that that tiny little delivery robot. I was just expecting that something bad was going to happen, but it negotiated it perfectly.
No, I mean, it made a left turn on the yellow. Yellow. Like, it was...
Which is like a human would have done.
True. No, better than a human. Yeah. Way better. Yeah. Like, I was like, man, I would have been kind of stressed out in this driving situation. Guess what? I didn't have to think about it, really. I mean, we did because it was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Are we going to get T-boned? Like,
it was great. It was really good. Incredible. I've had great experiences in a Waymo. What do we think about this coming to all the cities? I just saw Waymo is partnering with Toyota. So this is news that just came out, is that Toyota and Waymo are going to collaborate on an autonomous driving platform for consumers. I loved the way that this was announced, is that it kind of came out like, I think a day or two after this safety study, and somebody was like, would you take a Waymo? Like, which is better, Waymo or Tesla full self-driving? Right? And somebody was like, well, one of these is real and I can take it right now.
Did you see also Uber is about to deploy thousands of autonomous taxis starting in Texas with May Mobility? So that was another one that just came out.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I would do this in a heartbeat. I'm telling you right now, if I had... I'm begging. I'm literally begging. Like, I'm so close to even just starting my own flipping company, which I think many people would be mad at me if I did. My family and you probably, Brian, included. But I'm begging someone to create a Western Communities West Palm Beach transport service. Like, get me a shuttle from Wellington, Westlake, Royal Palm down to downtown. I don't want to drive myself.
No.
I know it's like 35, 40 minutes. Sometimes in traffic, it's an hour. Like, I don't want to do that, but I would be downtown every day. I would go down every day.
Not only that, like there are a lot of older generations that would be very happy to get to downtown areas and like
Yeah.
spend money. I remember the Cash for Clunkers program that I think was a Obama brand. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You trade
I
in your
remember
old
that.
car because it was like
Yeah.
not good for the environment. Trade those in and you get a massive credit on your new car purchase. I expect I almost guarantee at some
Yeah.
point we're going to see a similar program for non-autonomous vehicles. Do you know how much money will be saved by getting rid of traffic? Like traffic basically won't exist as we think of it if everything's autonomous. You and I were talking about this the other day. Like, how will intersections work? Will we even need stoplights as the way they exist today? Like,
right.
All of a sudden, this opens up an entire world of like everything moving at the same time. And so I actually think the fastest way to boost this economy that we're in right now is to get over to autonomous as fast as possible. It will save billions of dollars and it will encourage spending and it will free up real estate. Like there's so many things that would benefit if we went full autonomous.
I'm there. So all that to say, robotaxis, bring me more robotaxis, bring them to Florida.
Judge Dredd is gonna come with it.
That's geez. We got RoboCops and robotaxis. One last thing on this. The commerce implications for autonomous are pretty dire because I think that this is like an unbelievably disruptive technology.
Yep.
As AI is disruptive for the information space, right? I think autonomous driving is also extraordinarily disruptive to so many things that we can't even begin to
entirely new cultures waiting to be created right now.
Yeah. And I think existing ones that are that would be upset. The way that we think about ownership, like car culture and car ownership, the way that we reclaim space like parking lot space, the way that we do city planning.
Think about this: governments
50,
can lay off
years that would
their
all change.
whole state patrol. Like, don't
You
even
wish.
need it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. That's about
Highway
does
patrol
it.
is over.
All right. We have like 2 minutes. Let's do our quick round, the horn around heroes and villains for the week. But before we do, just remind you, we have our Vision Summit coming up. And we'd love for you to join us at our Vision Summit. We have our main keynote speaker, Andrew Huang, is joining us. Andrew Huang is a prolific creator, musician, world builder, and he has millions of followers on YouTube. I'd love for you to come and hear what he has to say about what it's like to be an author, a musician, world builder, YouTube creator, but also, his new book, how he talks about his journey in being a partially deaf musician, raising a family in this living his life sort of on YouTube a bit, but also in his journey to create businesses that have to engage in commerce as well. He's created products, created software. He has an incredibly fascinating story, and he is such an incredible human. I can't wait for you to hear from him and so many more speakers. This is going to be just an incredible Vision Summit.
Wait.
Yeah. It's going to be an unbelievable day. June 10th at the Museum of Modern Art. Join us. It's one day only. And you can get tickets right now at futurecommerce.com/visions. And there's just a few tickets left when you're hearing this. So go get it right now. Our early bird ended. And so you have to go get those tickets. But if you join Future Commerce Plus, I hear that there's a discount available. If you join Future Commerce Plus, you can join that membership really easily at futurecommerce.com/plus. All right. Brian, heroes and villains of the week. Who's the hero of the week?
Oh, Waymo. Absolutely. Saving lives.
Great.
That's easy.
I love a hero. I'm going to go with eBay. I like eBay this week. I like the eBay of it all. And I think in particular, if they can find ways to manage some of the dark patterns on their platform, it would be even better. I think the fact that they've spent a few years building toward this moment and they're now have the cultural zeitgeist also reminds us that it takes a long time and a lot of investment, especially in like media placement, for things to actually even be recognized or noticeable. And it takes a cultural environment for things to catch on. So I think that all of that is very resonant for me at the moment. eBay's my hero of the week. Who's your villain of the week, Brian?
I think I'm going to say Warren Buffett. Because
what?
Yeah, he's not allowed to retire. He's important to this world and this economy. You retire at 94, Warren. Come on now, give me a break. Like, just take it all the way to the end. You should have just played the game all the way till it finished. No, I'm just kidding. It's not Warren Buffett, but that I think, man,
play the game till it's finished. Oh man, that poor guy.
I feel bad for Warren that he worked this long. So I'm actually gonna say that the villain of this week is work culture in America. The fact that Warren Buffett worked till 94, and poor guy
did it for the love of the game, man. He had the love of the game, Brian.
Yeah, I'm sure. Did
you see that? Did you see that chart? Did you see the chart? You see Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, they've all lost billions and billions this year.
But Warren Buffett?
Mr. Buffet, he was up by 12 billies. All right.
I love it. I love Warren Buffett. Thank you, Warren, for being a part of
he's
our
the villain
economy.
of the week. It's more that he's retiring. I think that's the villain.
Sad.
The
it's just sad.
Villainous
You can be angry at things that you love when they're over.
All right, my villain of the week. My villain of the week. I think it's the evil movie industry for making films overseas. No, I'm just kidding. I think my villain of the week this week is this report out of Facebook. This report that says that
we didn't even get to this.
We'll talk about it in the After Dark. Is that Facebook allegedly detected when teen girls deleted selfies so that it could serve them beauty ads. And I'm going to be very careful in saying my villain is the report. My villain is the report that says that Facebook was targeting teen girls to. And
if you want to know why, sign up for Future Commerce Plus right now, and you'll hear the rest of
which will be the shortest After Dark that we've ever done. All right, that about does it. We appreciate you guys checking it out. Remember, you can get more episodes of this podcast and all Future Commerce at futurecommerce.com. And if this conversation sparked something for you, like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to bring more Future Commerce into your world, you can do that at our print shop at shop.futurecommerce.com, where commerce meets culture in beautifully crafted journals, zines, and collectibles. And remember, commerce shapes the future because commerce is culture. We'll see you next time.